Hello everyone, my name is Marcel. I'm one of the team members together with Carlos Barrios on the Spots project, also named as crowdsourcing parking as well. So I'm going to show you all the required steps for to install the project, to maintain it, and so far so on. Um, the main steps are going to be first to install all the requirement software to get it to work, then set up some of the services we're using, and then install it and show some of the testing, the maintenance tools we're using. So let's start. I'm going to show you how to do it on Windows, but it doesn't really matter. You can still do it on Mac as well. The steps are very similar. So to start with, we're going to open here a browser. I'm going to show you step number one would be to go and download Visual Studio Code, which is the IDE we're using to develop the application. It's not strictly necessary to use Visual Studio Code, but we have it set up so that it's easier for us to work with other parts of the project. So there's a lot of information how to set it up properly. You go to code.visualstudio.com and then you go to download over here. And it's going to show you different options. There's an option for Windows users, Linux users, and Mac users. So depending on the one that's better for you, go ahead, download it, and follow instructions until you have the software installed properly. Next, our project uses Firebase, which is a Google service for most of the backend kind of functions. So it is important to also set that up. For that, we're going to go to console.firebase.google.com. You don't really have to put this on the URL. You can just Google Firebase and it's going to be the first one that appears. You're going to need to log in to your Gmail account over here. And once you're over there, you can go and create a new project. These steps are very straightforward, just putting a name and following a small forms about what's the project about and so on. All the steps are included over here and easy to follow. Once the project is set up, I'm going to show you over here the different settings that you have. So the most important part would be authentication, database, storage, and functions, which is the ones that we're using for the project. So once you have your project set up, you gotta go to authentication. You gotta go to signing methods. You have to make sure you have these four sign up methods enabled. To enable, you just press on one and make sure it's enabled. Very straightforward. Do the same for the four of them, and that ensures that our account settings that we have on the application will work properly with Firebase. Next, we're gonna go. Oh, you have to do a setting. Well, you're also gonna have the database over here with the different collections and information available. This, of course, is all testing data. So these are the different collections so far and so on. Then you also have storage. Over here, you're gonna have the different profile pictures of the users that are stored here on the cloud as well. And finally, you have functions. So functions has both triggers and also like a functions like cloud functions for this case payments. And they also appear here on the dashboard. We'll use these later on to set up for testing purposes to check the functions in the backend and what is going on in the database and so far so on. So when this project is finished, we're gonna go and move to App Center. So we're using App Center for all this continuous integration and continuous deployment. Sorry. Um, for these two, what is needed is to basically link our repository with App Center. So we will have two different uh, pipelines. One's going to be for Android and one is going to be iOS, and both are going to be linked to the same repository with React Native. So we can start. Well, I'll show you the steps. Again, they're very straightforward. You enter an application name, let's say spots demo. Uh, so make sure when you're here in the release type, you have to make sure, well, first iOS, Android. Oh, first of all, React Native. And you're gonna choose for one iOS and for the other one Android. So what we do is the continuous integration. We use production. By using production on App Center, then the releases that we get to our phones are as if they were gonna be out there, ready for production, basically. So most of the debug functions are not enabled. That way we can have our own debug emulators with the debug functions and also production as well to see and check how both interact and work on so far and so on. So we set up React Native iOS, check the owner, and we create and add the new app. Okay, then we have to do, this step is exactly the same, you have to repeat. Let me go back and show you. So you see we have two here. Now we create an iOS version. You have to do the exact same steps, but to the other platform. So this is a review, tells you what you have to do to get analytics, which we are not interested in. What we're interested in is in build. So here is where you connect your repository. So you select one of the options here. In our case, we were using GitHub for the repository. You follow instructions and connect it. Make sure all you or all everybody in your repository has permissions for to access this. Otherwise, it's gonna be keep some security problems. You select it from here and you follow along. I'm not gonna continue in this one because my partner is the owner of the repository, but I'm gonna show you the settings. For example, here's an Android. Um, here are the builds. We have several branches. The main one is always control merge, which has the latest version with the pipeline. So we can show here. So build, let's go control merge and settings, and there you go. Here's what is important. Because we're a React Native application, you're gonna use a package to JSON. These are the settings. You're gonna put it on release, and this is the version for Node. You can set to build on every push or manually choose between different builds. We have some as for every push and some for manual, which are used when we have meetings with product owner. So you set up all the environment variables and so on. And if you want to have it on iOS or on Android, you have to have a key. I'm not gonna cover the exact steps. They're straightforward for everybody who's using React Native. You do have to create a key in order to develop an application APK. If you don't have one, you still can create it, but when you install it, it's gonna tell you that's not secure and so on, and you're gonna have issues. So you fill up all this information that you're gonna get when you create your key. The steps are the same for iOS. Also here, you can enable test on real devices. Is part of the testing we do. Every time we have a application running, besides running all of our unit tests and so on, it also tests on your device. and that's all. You just save, and afterwards you can start building. Something really important here is when you go to choose the to set up the package, sorry, the project, how to build it. Here you're gonna have two options. You have to build the one at the bottom, which is bots, not functions, because functions is backend and it gets deployed directly to Google Cloud. The one we're interested here is to develop the application, the client application. So it's important to have this one set up. Okay, after having all this set up, then it should automatically, as well as having all your partners and so on included on your project here, you should automatically start building the applications. So you see here, we've had like a lot of fails on this one, but we kept building. A lot of test cases failed, and but yeah, but this is the main method we had to for continuous iteration and continuous deployment. So once you have that one, um, the next you want to do is to start. Oh well, the next step will be to go ahead and clone the repository. This is where we have right now the repository. In any case, you just get the URL of the repository, you copy that, and I'm going to show you here the steps. You're going to create a folder. You're going to rename it as spots or spots demo, for example. Once inside this folder, what you're going to do, you just need to open a command prompt console, and you're going to do git clone and paste the repository. Once you're doing this, it's going to start cloning to this local repository, and it'll get all the resources that you're going to need. So this will take a while. Shouldn't take that long though. Okay, and it finished. So you should have something of this form. And next step will be to open this with Visual Studio, and you see something like this. So this is probably have function spots and so far so on. So next step will be to set up the necessary APIs for this for the project. There are several of them, so we're gonna go one by one. Have this saved on the background, and we're gonna move back to the browser. So so we're gonna need from Google Cloud several API keys. I'm not gonna go too in depth on how to go to get each key. It's very straightforward. You just need to sign up for Google Cloud. These keys are paid, mainly the routing the directions API. So you're gonna need the places API, and you're gonna need directions API from Google. And for that, you're gonna sign up your account, enter the portal, and then you're gonna set it up and so on. You have to get your payment information and so on. There's a lot of tutorials on how to get them. Once you do, you're gonna save them and you're gonna place them. I'm gonna show you where. And these locations are saved on the documentation. Over here, you're gonna put this is gonna be the places API. On this placeholder, you paste your key. Then over here, you're gonna go and put your directions API over here. And with that, those are the two keys you're gonna need for Google Cloud. Next, the next step will be you also need another key, which is gonna be for payments. So let's close this, go here. So you're gonna see here, this is to set up the Stripe project. You're gonna need 3 keys, which go in this place. I'm gonna show you real quick how to set up a Stripe account. So we're gonna go to Stripe account. So here's some important information. Well, we're using Stripe as for payment. This is to do all the merchant side of stuff. Is doing here. So you're gonna sign into an account. Once you log to your to an account, a developer account on Stripe, you're gonna get the following dashboard. Sorry. Here's gonna this we will also discuss later on testing, but it give you most of the information about all transactions that are going on. So what you're interested here, you're gonna go and you need to find your API keys. I believe you can just go here and developers and you go to API keys. So this is my one of the keys that I need. Here's the other key. I'm not gonna show you because this is my account, but once you set it up, you get it right there. You copy these strings, you put them over here in these placeholders. One is for the public key, and the other is the secret key and the client key. You set it up from the client. So once you install the package, I'm gonna show you them how to install it. Then you get the client key. So we continue. So once you have all those of the above installed properly, the next step will be to run the following commands. You're gonna do npm install so before I do that, so you're gonna go this is the repository we just copied, and we're gonna CLS, and we're gonna move to spots cd, sorry my bad, cd spot, and over here you're gonna do npm install. This takes like 10 or 20, like a long time the first time, so for this tutorial I'm not gonna show you. Once this finishes, you go ahead and you go also to functions. Over here, you're gonna do the same, npm install. This is for the backend kind of code. Once you finish that, then you're good. If the project is properly set up at this point, with the repository linked to App Center, then once you push any change, it should immediately go to App Center and create the build. In any case, what you can do, let me show you in the project right here actually, which is better. The good thing about Visual Studio Code is you have the console integrated here. So for example here, well again, this is our main root, but we also go to this file, which is this one over here, and we will do npm install, and afterwards we just do react native run. Sorry, start. Once you do this, then you're set up, and you will have like a development server running on your computer. This also takes some time, so it's to be expected. Once this step's done, you have different options. So again, this is more mobile development more than the project itself. Um, you can either directly run in your device, which is just by having a debug connection in your phone connected via USB and with debug enabled, doing React Native dot start. If the project is already installed in your phone, if it's not installed, I'm gonna show you the commands you gotta run. In fact, let's show you over here while the other one is running. So for this, it will be React Native run Android. You can see all these commands on the documentation inside this spots folder. It's React Native run Android. This will generate the APK. And once you've done this, then you can do the React Native start afterwards without having to rebuild the project itself. Also, you can do run iOS, and it will do the same. For this to work, though, you have to be working on a Mac computer, Mac machine. Um, so yeah, keep that in mind. And afterwards, the project should be working. Next, let's go about uh, how to maintain the application, and at the same time, I'm going to show you how to run it with the emulators. I will show you here the application running, but I'm using right now my phone, but I'm going to show you with the emulator, so hopefully it's easier to follow along. So let's get this out of the way and show the next steps you're going to need. So for the emulator, you're going to need Android Studios. Sorry. Okay, so in Android Studio, you're gonna download the full release they have with everything. And the good thing is Android Studio comes already with Android devices to emulate, so we want to use those. So you install, follow the options. By the way, this is gonna be for for Android. Also similar steps are also available to use on Mac Xcode, which is gonna allow you to use iOS emulators as well. So download the Android Studio, and then I'm going to show you the next steps. So we're going to go back here. So okay, you can see here the dependency graph is done, so already loaded the application. So now we can go ahead and open uh, Android Studio. So let's go. Alternatively, there's a faster way to do this actually. I think that's going to be more useful to show. So we're going to open a command prompt. And we can open Android Studios from here. So Android, here it is. another important thing to mention, well, now that we're talking about maintenance, we also have our test cases that are already set up here in the project. So every time you want to add test cases, you will have to add it over this location over here. Let me show you. Sorry. So you see test, and we have several tests over here. For example, this test will run with in the pipeline. So any more tests that need to be added, unit test here can be added directly in the code. Okay, let's close this. Understood is still opening. Okay. So here's Under Studio. So I'm gonna go to configure, and we go to SDK manager. Okay. So here SDK manager, you see this is this shows you the different SDKs that you have installed with by default with Android Studio. You need to have the following. Well, depending on the Android uh, software you want to run, then there are different versions. So, for example, in my case, I downloaded Android 10 and 9 and 8. In any case, this depends on the actual device you want to run the emulator, which I'm going to show next. So there we go. This is the virtual device that is included under Studio. Here's the one I'm running at right now. I could, for example, open it and send it to run. It's going to show a launch an emulator. It's loading. See, it takes some time. Okay, so that's the emulator updating. It's important to say that the actual emulators are very resource intensive. So for testing on the platform, you're gonna usually want to have, let's say, 2 or 3 of them to check the different transactions with different GPS states. So for that, there are many options. This is just one, having emulators here on the screen. Also, you can use your own devices, as I was saying before, if you connect them via USB, or you can also set them wireless as well. Um, if you connected, you follow the steps. Well, the easiest way is by cable, USB. But if you want to go one step further, you can also research. It's very simple how to make the connection via internet, Wi-Fi. So let's wait for this to load the state. I'm gonna take it to the side here for now, so that we can continue. So now that you have the emulator, you can actually close Under Studio. That's just to open it. So the next step will be, well, you have your project and everything, and you already did React Native to start. The main method for maintenance is using emulators, but also we can go and check over here. Okay, well, it loaded. So let's see. Well, still it's kind of frozen because my computer cannot hold recording plus the emulator and everything at the same time. So once you're, let's see if I can do something here. So okay, once you have and you run React Native Start, you're gonna get automatically it would gonna install it after you run Android. React Native, let me write it for you one more time. So so for example, this command over here shows you that the emulator is attached. ADB devices, you can do it for testing, it's not really needed, but you see that the system identifies that you have an emulator running. Afterwards, if you run React Native, run Android, it will in fact use this one over here and install this APK that you can see here, which is the application, and that you can use for debugging later on. Also, once you have it installed for the first time, you can just do as we did before, React Native the start, and automatically, every time there's some changes, it's gonna show you the changes on the application here. So finally, I'm gonna have to close this because my computer doesn't really can really handle all this at the same time. But that's how you open the application here. Finally, about testing. Some important aspects will be the following. Okay. Some important aspects, as I was saying before, for testing are going to be your Firebase project, your spots project on Stripe, and finally, well, those are two are the main testing points. We do have another one also. So to test the different um, to test the different, for example, you have different users. You can go to authentication and check them the different. Computer is a little slow. I have to wait a little bit. Okay, so while that loads, let's go over payments then. So to test payments, you can see on your dashboard, well, you can every charge you do will appear over here. You can, for example, we can show the analytics for the, like, for example, last month, and you see the different status of things. You can see all the different customers as well to troubleshoot things on each of them. And finally, the most important part is the terminal. So um, let me go here. So here, like, if there are any errors, there can be any errors on our server side, the client side, or the Stripe side. If there are any errors on the Stripe side, you're gonna get the information here as logs. You can access. The moment there are no logs, but this is important. Um, Similar to down Stripe, you also have functions for testing as well. You can access here the different logs that are available. This is an example. Yeah, and that between the different functions that are already set up. And finally, for testing, also, let's say you want to test some edge cases on the database, you can go directly to the database and change values over here to try to test and see how the application reacts. Because it updates in real time, so you'll see the different behaviors it will have. So, for example, right now something disappeared here. That was my partner that's also messing with the app. It shows the changes in real time. So, yeah, with that concludes most of the maintenance and instructions as well. So, thank you for watching and have a good night.